Hey guys, it's Braden. If I slip up and say something wrong, please forgive me because it's very late. Okay, so I finally have something to show for the USB downloader, and the problem with the old downloader, or rather Kipper's downloader, is that it wants Qt on both sides of the it wants Qt on both the computer and the CBC. And the problem with that is that it's hard to implement your own client because the CBC is the server, your computer is the client. It's hard to implement your own client without using Qt. So what I ended up doing was I had to write my own CBC server, serial server, and there's an option inside CBC UI to change between my server and the serial server, which doesn't quite work yet, but it should be fairly simple to make it work. And my downloader supports executing commands like Linux, like ls or rm-rf, stuff like that. And it can return the output of that command to you. It can download files, and it can modify CBC UI's state. So you could have your computer change the state of the CBC UI to bring up the file manager or the console or anything like that. And that's not implemented yet, but it should be fairly easy to do so. And each packet has a type, and it's either a type command, a type CBC UI, or a type file. So the packet has to be predetermined on what it's going to do. And you can use multiple packets to get around that. Okay, so that's the code that runs on the CBC, and the code that runs on the computer is in Java right now, but beta server doesn't use anything specific to Qt, so it should, or specific to Java, so it should be fairly simple to implement it using Lua or using C++ or any other language you want. All it uses are types and character streams. So, I mean, not types, I'm sorry, lengths. So as long as you can read basic data types like unsigned 8-bit characters or unsigned 8-bit short or 16-bit shorts, sorry, anything like that should work fine. Okay. And it should be pretty simple to mod it to add your own types as well. So this downloader supports, or this USB downloader, which is part of our CBC downloader project, which you can download at GitHub, is pretty much almost done. It doesn't support deletion right now, but you could easily delete over using an execute using the rm Linux command, and that's what this is going to do internally. So I guess we can clear that up right now. There we go. So it supports everything now, and it's fairly simple implementation. It's only just under 200 lines, so it should be fairly simple to do your own. And it works decently on Mac. To set it up, you have to change a lot of the USB permissions for this library we're using, but it should work fine on Windows and Linux. And hopefully, I can write something else for Mac. Okay, so let's try it out. Okay, so this is a 3,388 byte file, and that's fairly sizable. It's probably bigger than most of the programs you'd write in C. And as you know, the Kipper downloader is extremely slow, and I don't have any formal benchmark for the speed of Kipper's downloader, but at least this is comparable. So we have it testing the time here. Whoops, I think this is the wrong program I ran. Let's see here. Oh, I'm not running CBC UI. That'd probably help. Okay. Whoops. Okay. Okay, so now that CBC UI is starting up, we should be able to download now. And you just set the port, which you can find out by going to KISC or just diffing the output of ls/dev, which I did, and you can find out the port name. And but the KISS-C option would probably be the easiest. Okay, so let's run this. So it says that it took 420 milliseconds to fetch that file. And let's look at the file real quick. So 420 milliseconds, about half a second, to fetch the startup script of the CBC. So that's a pretty good speed, and it's probably well fast enough to implement a USB interactive console. So you wouldn't have to use SSH, and fairly fast enough to download any size project that you'd probably be doing for Botball. Okay, so that's running commands, and this is downloading files. This is our CBC JVM downloader. It supports network, USB, and flash drive in the future, but there may not be a need for flash drive anymore now that we support USB. Okay, so let's set the arguments of this, and we're going to create a file called lol.c or lol.txt. How about that? And we're going to put it in the user directory, and we're going to name it in the user directory lol.txt, because it just reads the file's information here. So that's just the output directory and the path, and we're going to do it over USB with this port. Okay, so let's create the lol.txt file real quick. Okay, we'll say I'm a lol-ing over USB. Okay, so now that we have that file, we should be able to lol over USB. And if we run this, it says the CBC returned 1, meaning that it acknowledged that our packet was arrived successfully, and we should be able to kill CBC UI right there and go back to our user directory. There's a lol.txt file right there, and let's see what's in it. Okay, and there it is, and there's no new line. That's why it's not going to the next line there, but it's sending everything successfully. So that's the basics of what I've done so far, and it's working fairly decently. I just need to clean up some of the warning messages I have and debugging output, but after that it should be good. And hopefully the other big players in the modding scene, I guess, can implement this for their own, like Matthew Thompson and his CBC Lua project could either use our CBC downloader, which isn't specific to Java. There's nothing in it that says it has to be Java, although he'd probably re-implement it in a lighter form, which would be easy enough. And Jeremy Rand could probably implement it for his C++ stuff if they're not just using KISS-C. But yeah, it'd be. I know Jeremy Rand's completely against the idea, but it'd be nice to support it nonetheless. So hopefully this will allow more people to get involved with the different language projects that have been popping up in the CBC community, and really open up the possibility for regular teams to use these various tools we developed. So thanks for watching, and you can download this on our GitHub repository for CBC Downloader, or you can probably wait for the CBC JVM 10.6 release, in which case we'll probably include it in the download. And 10.6 will be next, or rather, what month is this? July. So it should be, well, oh, the 6th is June. Whoops. Okay, how about in a few days, 10.6 will be released, and you'll be able to download it then. But if you don't want to wait, you can download it from our repository. So that's about it. If you have any questions, contact me. If you're watching this video, you probably know how to contact me, or you can leave me a comment, and whatever. So thank you for watching. Bye.